Your sister deserves this more than you. My father's words rang through our garage as he stood over my burning research project, the flames reflecting in his eyes. My name is Emma Chen, and at 18, I had just won the National Youth Science Competition with my research on sustainable energy solutions. The prize included a $100,000 grant and a full scholarship to MIT. I watched silently as 3 years of work went up in flames. My prototype, my documentation, my presentation boards, all reduced to ashes because my younger sister Jessica had come home crying about not getting into her dream college. "Look what you've done to your sister," Mom yelled, holding Jessica, who was putting on quite a show with her tears. "She's devastated. The least you could do is give her your scholarship. You're smart enough to get another one." I maintained my composure, though my heart was racing. They didn't know about the backup drives, the cloud storage, or the fact that the competition organizers had already documented everything. They didn't know about the news crew scheduled to arrive tomorrow for a feature story about my win. "Are you even listening?" Dad demanded, kicking at the smoldering remains of my project. "Jessica has dreamed of going to Stanford since she was little. Your scholarship money could help her get there." Jessica, still crying, managed to add between sobs, "You don't even care about me. You've always been so selfish with your stupid science experiments." The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, I'd worked in our garage developing my sustainable energy project while Jessica spent her time as captain of the cheerleading squad and president of the social committee. My parents attended every one of her pep rallies but never once came to a science fair. "The competition officials will be notified that you're declining the prize," Mom stated firmly, as if it was already decided. "Jessica needs this more than you do. You can always enter another competition." I finally spoke, my voice steady. "No." "What did you say?" Dad's face turned red with anger. I said no. "The prize is mine. I earned it." Mom stepped forward, her expression a mix of disappointment and contempt. "After everything we've done for you? We gave you space for your experiments, bought you supplies." "I bought my own supplies," I interrupted. "With money I earned tutoring. The same tutoring you told me to stop doing because it was taking time away from helping Jessica with her homework." "How dare you?" Dad moved toward me, but I stood my ground. "You ungrateful." "The news crew will be here tomorrow morning," I said calmly. "Channel 5 is doing a feature story on my win. They're particularly interested in my research on sustainable energy solutions." The silence that followed was deafening. Jessica's crying stopped abruptly. "What news crew?" Mom's voice had lost its edge. "The one that's going to showcase the project you just burned." I pulled out my phone and showed them the email confirmation. "They're bringing their environmental science correspondent. Apparently, my research has caught the attention of several major tech companies." Dad's face paled. "But your project is safely backed up and documented with the competition organizers." I turned to leave the garage. "I suggest you clean this up before they arrive. Burning my research probably won't look good on national television." "You wouldn't," Jessica whispered, her tears forgotten. "You wouldn't embarrass us like that." I looked at my sister, really looked at her. For years, she'd been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Every achievement of mine was overshadowed by her needs, her wants, her dreams. "I'm not going to lie to them," I said simply. "If they ask what happened to my project, I'll tell them the truth. If they ask about my family's support, I'll tell them the truth. The question is, what truth do you want me to tell?" As I walked away, I heard my mother burst into tears and my father start cursing under his breath. Jessica called after me, "Emma, wait. We can talk about this." But there was nothing left to talk about. Tomorrow they would learn exactly what they tried to destroy. Not just a science project, but their daughter's future. And this time, they couldn't burn the evidence. The next morning, I was up early, dressed in my competition blazer, checking my tablet one last time. The garage had been cleaned overnight, all evidence of last night's destruction carefully removed. I could hear my parents whispering frantically in the kitchen, probably trying to figure out how to control the situation. At precisely 9 a.m., the Channel 5 news van pulled into our driveway. I watched through the window as my parents' faces turned ashen. Jessica, who had been texting furiously on the couch, suddenly looked like she might be sick. "Good morning. I'm Sarah Martinez from Channel 5, the reporter greeted warmly as I opened the door. Behind her, a cameraman was already setting up equipment, And this must be the brilliant young scientist we've been hearing about. Emma Chen, I said, shaking her hand. Thank you for coming. My parents rushed forward, their faces plastered with fake smiles. We're so proud of our Emma, Mom gushed, trying to put an arm around me. I stepped away smoothly. Actually, I said, I prefer to do the interview in the garage. That's where I developed my project. The color drained from my father's face. The garage might not be the best place. Nonsense, Sarah exclaimed. That's perfect, showing where the magic happened. Our viewers love seeing the real workspace of young innovators. As we moved to the garage, I pulled out my tablet. I have all my research documentation here, including videos of the development process. The reporter's eyes lit up. Wonderful. We'd love to include some of that footage. No, Jessica suddenly blurted out. Everyone turned to look at her. I mean, wouldn't it be better to focus on the future? Like, what Emma plans to do with the prize money? Sarah looked intrigued by this outburst. Actually, that's an interesting point. Emma, your sister seems very invested in your win. How has your family supported your scientific journey? This was the moment I could see my parents holding their breath. Jessica fidgeting nervously. I smiled and connected my tablet to the small projector I brought. Let me show you my journey, I said, starting the presentation. I've documented everything from day one. The images began playing on the garage wall. 3 years of progress, each development carefully dated and logged. Then came the videos, me working late into the night, the garage empty except for my presence. Clips of science fairs where I stood alone by my project while other parents proudly supported their children. The regional competition where I won without a single family member in attendance. As you can see, I continued calmly, it's been a very independent journey. Independent indeed, Sarah noted, her journalistic instincts clearly picking up on the story beneath the story. No family support at these events. We were busy with other commitments, my mother stammered. Like my sister's cheerleading competitions, I added. They never missed those. The cameraman zoomed in on Jessica, who looked like she wanted to disappear. And now that you've won this prestigious award, Sarah continued, how has that changed the family dynamic? I could see my father about to interrupt, but I spoke first. Actually, last night was quite interesting. Would you like to see? Before anyone could stop me, I played the security camera footage from the garage, footage I'd installed months ago after some of my equipment went mysteriously missing. The video clearly showed my father burning my project while my mother and sister watched. The silence in the garage was absolute. Oh my God, Sarah whispered, then quickly regained her professional composure. Emma, this is quite something. Would you like to comment on what we're seeing? I think it speaks for itself, I replied calmly. Fortunately, as I mentioned in the video, everything was backed up. My research is safe and the prototype can be rebuilt. Some people might try to destroy your work, but they can't destroy your knowledge or determination. Sarah's eyes were shining with the realization that she had stumbled upon a much bigger story than expected. This is incredible, Emma, not just your scientific achievement, but your resilience in the face of such challenges. My parents stood frozen, realizing that their actions would now be broadcast across the state. Jessica had quietly slipped out of the garage. Would you like to show us how your sustainable energy solution works? Sarah asked, smoothly steering the interview back to its original purpose. Of course, I replied, pulling up my detailed digital models. It all started with a question. How can we make clean energy more accessible to everyone? As I launched into my presentation, I could see my parents retreating from the garage. Their perfect family image shattered. But for the first time, I didn't care about their approval or disappointment. I had something more important to focus on, my future, my achievements, and the chance to share my work with the world. The truth, as it turned out, was more powerful than any family pressure could ever be. The aftermath of the TV interview was exactly what you'd expect: chaos. The story aired that evening, and by morning, it had gone viral. Teen scientist triumphs despite family sabotage was trending on social media. My phone was flooded with messages from other young scientists sharing similar stories of family pressure and unsupportive parents. My parents locked themselves in their room, refusing to answer calls from relatives and friends who'd seen the broadcast. Jessica alternated between crying and sending me angry texts about ruining the family's reputation. But what really shook them was what happened next. The MIT admissions office called. Ms. Chen, in light of recent events, we'd like to upgrade your scholarship to include room, board, and a dedicated research stipend. We value resilience as much as scientific achievement. Then came the corporate interests. 3 major tech companies reached out, offering summer internships and research funding. The same companies my father had dismissed as pipe dreams when I'd mentioned applying to their programs. Emma, my mother finally approached me in the kitchen 2 days after the interview. Her voice was quiet, lacking its usual commanding tone. "What you did, you humiliated us." I continued making my breakfast, not looking up. "No, Mom, you humiliated yourselves. I just showed the truth. The neighbors won't even look at us. Jessica's friends' parents are calling us abusive. Your father might lose clients over this." "Actions have consequences," I replied, finally meeting her eyes. "Maybe now you understand how I felt watching my work burn." She sank into a chair, suddenly looking older. "We just wanted what was best for Jessica." "No," I corrected her. "You wanted what was easiest for Jessica. There's a difference. She could have earned her own way, like I did. Instead, you taught her that she deserves things just because she wants them." The doorbell rang, interrupting our conversation. It was Dr. Rivera, my research mentor from the science competition. She'd driven 2 hours to see me. "Emma," she said, hugging me tightly. "I saw the interview. We all did. The entire scientific community is talking about not just your research, but your courage." My mother hovered uncertainly in the background as Dr. Rivera continued. "The National Science Foundation wants to feature your story in their youth outreach program. You've become a symbol for young scientists facing similar challenges." That afternoon, I received an email that changed everything. The country's leading sustainable energy corporation wanted to fast-track my research for development. They were offering full funding and a dedicated lab space, starting immediately. I was packing my room when Jessica appeared in the doorway. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. "You're really leaving?" "Yes. The company has arranged temporary housing near their research facility." She was quiet for a moment. "I didn't get into Stanford." "I know. Mom and Dad. They're different now. They're making me apply to community college, get a part-time job." She laughed bitterly. "They've never made me work for anything before." I stopped packing and looked at my sister. "Maybe that's not a bad thing." "I hate you," she whispered, but there was no real venom in it. "But I understand now. What they did to you. What I did to you. It wasn't fair." "No, it wasn't." "Will you ever forgive us?" I thought about it carefully. Forgiveness isn't the point, Jessica. Growth is. Maybe this is your chance to find out who you are without them smoothing your path. The day I left, my father finally emerged from his self-imposed exile. He stood in the driveway as I loaded my car, looking lost. "The company you're going to work for," he said hesitantly. "They're industry leaders." "Yes. And MIT, that's a full ride now." "Yes." He nodded slowly. "We were wrong, Emma. I was wrong. I didn't see. I didn't want to see. I know, Dad." I closed my car trunk. But sometimes the hardest lessons are the most important ones. As I drove away, I caught a last glimpse of them in my rearview mirror, my parents and Jessica standing in the driveway of the house that had never really been my home. They looked smaller somehow, diminished by the truth finally being exposed. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Rivera, ready to change the world. I smiled, thinking of the lab waiting for me, the research I'd continue, and the future I'd fought so hard to secure. Sometimes losing your family's support means finding your own strength. And sometimes that's exactly what you needed all along. "Ready," I texted back and pointed my car toward my future, one that I built, defended, and earned, all on my own.